Hi, I'm Juanita and welcome back to the Knit Guru. Today I've got a burning question for you because I don't think I know the answer for myself. Are you Delulu for Labubu, or have you got a Lafufu, or did you just crochet your own Labubu? And what the hell is a Labubu? And why is it that there's something about a Labubu that's bringing back this nostalgia that I don't understand? And I'm not even sure I like a Labubu. There's something a little bit off-putting. So am I going to buy one? Well, no, because I'm in New Zealand and actually getting a Labubu here would be ridiculous, because if people are talking about paying $40, $50, $60 American, that would automatically translate to being over $100 here, plus delivery to the arse end of the world. So what am I going to do? I saw that Blondie Knots crocheted one, and I saw that Hollyana has just bought one, but she's not sure if it's a real one or a fake one, or a real Labubu or a fake Lafufu. I hate the fact that I'm starting to get to know the law. And Holly's going to crochet outfits for herself and her Labubu Lafufu. So what have I got? I've got some of this knitting yarn in a flesh. It's the one I used for the legs of my reverse mermaid, so I figure it's going to work for the face of my Labubu Lafufu Labubu, whoever it is. And this is my bag of fur yarn, because I figure I can probably use some of this, or I should use some of this. I hate working with fur yarn. I am famous for hating working with fur yarn. I will probably try to link my video about fur yarn up there. So what do we have? We've got what's left. This is, I mean, what's impressive is that this is what was left after making the jaboa. Oh, it's not wound up. I'm going to have to deal with this nonsense. So I've got this ball, which was, I think, Vera Moda from Spotlight, and I haven't seemed to have used a lot of it, but I was disappointed when I got this. This is just going on forever. Yes. Yeah, it is. It's Vera Moda. I love the fact that I remembered that. There's a lot of this left over, and I only ended up with one ball of it from Spotlight, even though I ordered 4, and all my other colour options just didn't arrive. So I've got that, but I know that that's awful. But also, since I last did the fur yarn video, I have worked with fur yarn more. Well, not fur, more the plush yarn, so maybe I've got more skills. I also have this fur yarn, which is basically strips of fur fabric, and I forget where I got it from. It was definitely from a discount store. I believe it's called fur polyester yarn, because I got grey and I got blue, and I think I've got some more balls of it somewhere. It's probably sitting at work, knowing me, because I may have taken it there to see if the crochet kids wanted to give it a go. What do I also have? I have from Kmart, I've got this white velvet yarn, which is, I mean, that one looks like it's doable. I also have, I think this is also a Kmart one, is it? This is another Kmart one in a brownie shade. And then there's this. Is this brick colour going to come out of here, or is it stuck on the things in the bottom of the bag? This is another one, and it's just a velvet yarn. So I guess I'm going to have to work out which pattern I'm going to use and exactly how much yarn it's going to need, and then I'll be able to pick what colour I want to use. I'm just making a mess, and much like Santa, checking it twice. These all need a lot of winding. Maybe that's what I'm going to be doing with the rest of my life. I was just trying to work out whether or not I had 2 balls of the grey in here, or whether it's 1 balls of the grey and 1 balls of the blue. I think it's 1 balls of the grey and 1 balls of the blue. So I'm going to look for a pattern. I think I might go for the pattern that Blondie Knots used, because she was really impressed with the little feetsies. And I know that there's basically a head, and then the fur goes over the top. So I do need to look to see whether it's a different shape, different size hook, because I know that the size hook that I would use for this DK yarn is quite different. I mean, what does this velvet yarn even suggest? A 9mm knitting needle. So that's substantially larger. And I'm imagining that polyester yarn has no instructions whatsoever. No instructions whatsoever, just that this is grey. Yeah, so, but I think that I might be able to use the same size hook with that. So we'll see how we go. Now let's find out whether or not I'm the Lulu for Lafufu or Labubu, or whether or not I'm too old to say any of those sentences. Let's go. Right, so here are my thoughts around making this Labubu. I'll link the pattern down below. So actually it was kind of worth getting the pattern. Part of it was made in a way that was different to what I was anticipating. Like normally, you know the standard crochet where it's 6 in the first round, then 12, and then 18, and then 24, then you make a circle. This isn't quite a circle for the head. And it was an interesting construction. Now, I did go off book because when am I ever following a pattern correctly? I was supposed to be using a 2.25mm crochet hook, and I started with a small one. I think I was starting at a 2.5, and it was just hurting too much. So I changed, and I went with a 3mm. So sue me. My argument with myself was that I didn't want to kill my hands, but also the fur yarns that I had were all quite thick. There's a blue one that I'll be trialing at some point in this video, which I could use the 5.5mm needle hook with, but I couldn't get the right size in the fur yarn for the head to fit into. So it made sense to just size up the hook of the fur yarn so that I could use the Kmart yarn. Kmart yarn, giving that a 10 out of 10. Really quite impressed with that. The random blue yarn, let's just say it be random. So anyway, the pattern was good. Now, Labubu, what I've found out about them is that they're from a Hong Kong-based designer, or he's Dutch or something, Lacing Hung. I can't quite remember exactly. I could just look it up again, but clearly that's my blue fur yarn. I'm not doing it. And then they've come out in about 2018. And I do remember watching, I think, Nerdy Crafter, unboxing some Labubu way back in the day, thinking there's something weird about them, like Troll Doll-esque, but not. So they came out in 2018, but they've really blown up since Lisa from Blackpink was seen with one. So once she was seen with one, they start appearing everywhere. And then I think there was a Vogue magazine cover where it's pairing the expensive handbag with the $30 dangly bit. And I will admit, bag charms, 10 out of 10, big fan. I've got a few bag charm patterns on my channel. I've got dangly things hanging from my bag. I'm 10 out of 10 in favour of dangling things from my bag, even if I'm not a handbag user. So I can see the appeal. But I also can see that they're not me. I have enjoyed watching some people doing some little outfits for their Labubu. I have enjoyed people who have been customizing their Labubu, but it is a completely insane concept for me, because here we are looking in New Zealand, because they're made by Pop Mart. So to buy them here, they're $150, and they're sold out. Like, $150 for a bag charm. I don't even spend $150 on my bag. So that makes it seem really crazy. But I don't understand why people are also hating on them. Because if people want to hang a bag charm or dress up their Labubu, who cares? I think it was the last time we were in an economic downturn. There was a rise in novelty tea shops around here. And one of my friends explained it as, well, if you can't afford the big luxuries, you get your dopamine from your little luxuries. And if your little luxury is buying a new teacup and having a new tea type, then you go with that. And it made perfect sense to me that here we had a big rise of people who were drinking herbal teas and making their own teas and talking about their hot teas versus their sweet teas versus their cool teas, you name it. So if people want to have their little luxuries that are going to bring them just a bit of joy, then go for it. I do own a few hoodies because I like being comfortable. I have many Care Bears. I love a stuffed animal. I mean, I'm not a big fan of a Labubu, but it's to do with the face is what I've come down to. These are marketed as the monsters. Now, I do remember there was like, troll dolls. They were cool. They were out. I had a troll doll. And there's the where the wild things are, and I've made a Max character in the past. I might try and remember to link the pattern for Max down below if anyone wanted to knit a Labubu. I could probably adapt my Max pattern if they wanted to. But there's something weird about the face for me, and the mixture of fur and the face. But it was fun to be able to actually just use some fur yarn, because I've had this fur yarn stash knowing that I'm going to need to use it for something. I mean, this is more of a velvet than a fur, but these feet on this pattern are very cute. The hands are a little bit pointless, but the feet are cute. I did like the way the headpiece fitted around the round bit. The ears came out cute and adorable. At this point, he's at his peak cuteness, because it all goes downhill as soon as I start putting the face on. Looks a little bit like an emoji at this point. I'm not very good at the embroidery, and these are tight stitches. All right, so am I Delulu for Lafufu? No, I'm not, because in my research about Labubu, I have no problem with the concept. The problem I've got is that in New Zealand, they're like $150. Yeah, Rocky's barking is completely on point, because 150 is far too much. This is my crocheted Labubu. Am I happy with him? Yes. Is he bigger than an actual Labubu? Yes, he is. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One being, this face bit is supposed to be done in a 2.25 millimeter crochet hook. I'm just not going to do that. The idea of a 2.25 millimeter crochet hook, forgive me, I've got no air. I don't think I've recovered from either COVID or influenza, who knows. It would just destroy me. So this is DK yarn with a 3 millimeter crochet hook. And I think that made it work more with the pattern for the fur yarn, because my fur yarn was definitely not going to fur yarn with a 5.5 millimeter hook. This is with a 6. I want to say 6 because I wanted to use the... Did I use the clover one? I think I used the clover one. Anyway, what I did like about this pattern, which I will link down below, I think the feet have turned out really cute. The hands, take it or leave it. They're fine. I do love the ears. The ears have come out really well. The biggest issue is that he's very head heavy, because there's a lot more bulk in this head, and it's got a lot of stuffing to make it hold its shape, but the body itself is still really soft. Either way, I'm happy with my Lafufu, because in realizing why I found these creepy in the first place, there were these dolls that were around when I was a kid in the 80s, which means they were probably around in the 70s elsewhere. Or maybe these were handed down, I don't know. But they had like rubber faces and fur bodies, so they were like a teddy bear, but with a doll face. We're talking nightmare fuel for childhood me. There's also that whole thing about the glow bugs, where they had the plastic faces, and then the was it more of a velour body? I didn't gel with those either. There's something about the rubber faces that make me... The texture of them is just weird. Am I going to hang this guy on my handbag? No, for 2 reasons. One, I don't carry a handbag because, well, I find I need both my arms free. I tend to have a backpack. I am that guy. Because in the backpack I can put my spare raincoat and my spare socks and, be prepared for the day, even though I might just be going to work. I did put teeth and a nose on him. I feel like I could have done a better job with the eyes, but I didn't. I managed to get some little highlights in there, but I don't know if the camera's going to pick up on the little highlights. But I think overall my shaping started going out fine. And then I think I just rushed the whites. But by this point I was ready to be done. It's also really hard to crochet into or to embroider onto this bit here. He's fine. This plush yarn here is from Kmart, for my New Zealand viewers. It's the Anko Velvet, and I think it was about either $7 or $8 for a ball, and this is still used under half a ball. So I was quite impressed with this yarn. I thought it was going to be more sheddy than it was. I don't know what colour this one is because I did not pay any attention. I just picked up some when I saw it online a while back. So I got this colour, and I know they've got a grey, and I know they've got a white. I want to say rose claret, but I'm probably making that up as well. How much has my Labubu cost compared to a Labubu? I already had this yarn here. This I purchased for about $2 as the flesh tone for the reverse mermaid. This is sock yarn scraps in the black. This white is just an acrylic yarn scrap. To be honest, if I had had a white sock yarn, I would have used the white sock yarn here. This colour here is just a scrap from a hat I just made for my brother-in-law for his birthday. So the most ridiculous part of this whole thing is that this is a merino alpaca silk blend as the inner ear and nose. So completely ridiculous. Pardon me. So the fur yarn, if it was an $8 ball, let's round it up to do a $10 ball because it makes the maths easier. And I've used less than half a ball. Let's make it $5. So $5 with about maybe $1 worth of this yarn. We'll throw on a couple of dollars worth of stuffing. It didn't actually take too much time. The head took ages, but everything else crocheted up quickly. The embroidery took the longest, and as you can tell, I lost the will to live. So maybe $10, or in American dollars, maybe $5. Do I appreciate the art style of the original Labubu? Kinda. I get it. It's not my jam, but it doesn't have to be my jam to be your jam. The main thing is that I think the reason why these have gone so viral is that there's so many fakes. And people are actually kind of enjoying finding a real one, which is really ironic. And some of the fakes are terrible, and some of the fakes are great. And this entire rabbit hole that I've gone down in trying to work out why they're feeling nostalgic to me, because they've only been around since 2018, has been interesting to sort of try and think back all the toys that we had growing up as to why I'm finding them nostalgic. And if I'm finding them nostalgic, other people are as well. And I'm sure there's going to be other toys in the gaps in between. The blind box thing, yeah, cool. I've never really gotten into the blind box thing because I am a completionist, and I know full well that if I started getting into a blind box scenario, there would be no end. I do have all the Care Bears. And I mean all of them. All of them. And then once I picked up all the Care Bear friends, I was like, actually, I've got to stop. If another Care Bear comes out, yeah, I've got vintage ones, I've got new ones, I've got special release ones. So you can imagine what would happen if I went down a $150 Labubu trend. It would be bad. And I don't need it because I've got this guy. What am I going to do with him? I don't know. Probably stand him somewhere because he's not going to hang from a handbag that I don't own. So am I Delulu for Lafufu or Labubu? No. But I'm glad that I've made one. It's fun to jump on a trend. I enjoy a trend. I enjoy a deep dive. I enjoy finding out why other people are interested in stuff. And I also enjoy using yarn. Anyway, I will catch you next week. Bye.